Welcome back, baseball fans, to another edition of the Prep Baseball Report of North Carolina podcast. I'm Brandon Hall, the North Carolina Director of Scouting, overseeing the Mid-Atlantic. With me today are East and West Directors, Patrick Johnson, Zach Borowski. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Good.
Good. How are you?
Anybody lose their tails on football this weekend? Football for me is dead. The Falcons are done. Georgia's done. We've moved on to next year. I can't believe people are still playing, but everybody did okay this weekend. We survived.
College basketball got me. Big took some L's in college basketball. You know, your 49ers, the Charlotte over there, right by your house. They got the cover on Memphis at the 11. It was an 11.5 game, so they got us.
I don't even know why we watch. We know the Chiefs are going to be there. They're going to make sure that the Chiefs get there in the end. So
you see, this is an about face, and my wife's going to watch this. And for those that don't know, my wife's a huge Kansas City fan. She grew up in Kansas City. There was a little bit of smack talk on Saturday in Charlotte, just a little bit, to the point where my wife, when the game was done, said, "Text Patrick this." And so now you're coming on the podcast and flipping it. You're going reverse order on her. They're too good. There's no way they lose.
I like to stir the pot, but it's hard to win when the refs are on your side. I mean, come on. Some of those late hits and pass interference calls. Come on.
There were some great AI-generated clips. The Mahomes and ref kissing on the sideline, that was fantastic. How everybody's doing all that stuff, that's gotten really good. Some of it, there were a couple that probably went over the line we can't talk about on a show like this, but they were pretty good. Well, we're coming off that weekend, and we didn't see a whole lot of the games because obviously event season's here. We're off, we're rolling. We had 2 events in North Carolina. Patrick, you and I were in Charlotte on Saturday. Zach, you and I were in Wilmington on Sunday. And, for us, ID events can be hit and miss. Sometimes they land, sometimes they don't. Scheduling, early season, these were 2 great events. Good turnout, good players that were ready to dive in. Patrick, let's start in Charlotte. Let's just talk about the facility we're at. We're at On Deck Academy, home of the On Deck O's. Jason Hill and the Hill brothers kind of run that forever. I coached with Jason at Charlotte, have an affinity for that program and what they're doing. But we've been in there. It's our second time in that facility. Lets us get done everything we need to get done.
Yeah, no, like you said, great place. I love the way they got everything set up, especially the way they can raise and lower the nets. I really liked that last year when we saw it. But, yeah, overall, great place. The event went great. I think, like you said, for being early in the year, the level of talent that we had at the ID was great. The kids did really well adjusting to indoors this early in the year. It was a good event. I enjoyed getting back into the flow of it, and it's going to hopefully the rest of our events for this spring early in the year, they go the same way as that one did because it was good.
Yeah, good players make them run. The athletic testing, all of our apps, people have gotten used to this stuff if they've been to an event. Sometimes apps don't work. Sometimes things go haywire and we have to kind of hit and miss and try to keep it. Most of the time players don't see it. We're kind of like ducks in the water. Our feet are churning under the water, but we're trying to stay calm on top. I told both events I'm on prednisone currently trying to kick some stuff, and my heart was racing. My mind was racing. I was talking a million miles a minute. I just told them constantly, slow me down. Just slow me down if we're going too fast. And I thought the players did a great job of kind of reacting and communicating with us, letting us know, trying to get through some of their anxieties so they could put up really good numbers. And again, Saturday was good. Sunday for me, another type of homecoming. I got a chance to see the On Deck guys on Saturday. Sunday, go to my alma mater, and it is not the same place I played at. Gorgeous indoor facility, a fairly new outdoor turfed infield they've been using for a couple years now. They're putting AstroTurf on the main playing field. They're doing some stadium improvements. Zach, first time, I think you said it was your first time being at UNC Wilmington. Overall thoughts and impact of just seeing the facility and what the Seahawks are dealing with on a daily basis for their player development.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was wonderful. You walk up, you see this brand new field, it looks beautiful, great seating around. And I just I don't ever know what it looked like before, but that caught your eye right away. Full infield, be able to do anything you want. You had a full infield that we got to use and kind of do for our infield, outfield stuff. Indoor, I think it was 4 cages. Same thing Patrick said. They got the retractables. They can do lives, do a lot, and the benefit of it is when you're there, you got to see some of the college guys kind of getting back into shape, kind of going through the workouts as we were going. Got to run into my old player, which was nice. Got to catch up with him. Got to, see him right before the season started. You guys saw some of the guys doing work as everybody was getting ready to get out. Like, just really nice, set up for everything.
That was a cool deal. I didn't realize that their players came in earlier and got some of their individual work done. Just building was open. They'd come in. A lot of those guys doing some body prehab or rehab, some just recovery type work. But having the high school kids come in and being able to see, hey, this is how some of these college guys are getting their work done. And it kind of lends itself to one of the things we're doing with the IDs this year. We're running a Rising Stars events on top of the IDs. So a lot of what we do is geared towards high school players. Obviously, we have some college coverage, some junior college coverage, but 80-90% is to high school players. We're also starting to develop just relationships with those guys that are going to be in high school in the next couple of years. So the Rising Stars events are chances for some 7th and 8th graders to be at some of these events and kind of use these high school guys as mentors. Both you guys saw some young guys at these events. I was extremely impressed with just the way they handled the day, because we're throwing a lot of things at them they probably have not seen. But then, two, how the high school guys kind of took those guys under their wing. There were a couple different times where I saw high school guys, older guys, pulling them off the side and go, hey, second round, relax. You don't have to do much. Just be who you are. Don't try to do, and seeing those guys relax those players into that environment. Let's start with Patrick.
Yeah, no, the guys in Charlotte did great. Sometimes hitting indoors or hitting BP off of somebody that you've never seen before. A couple of guys struggled their first round, just trying to adjust, doing a little bit too much. And there were some guys that told them, hey, first round, just get used to it. Second round's always better. You'll have the cameras on, this and that. They did a good job. Our Rising Star guy that was there, he did really good. He adjusted to everything. Didn't look like he was flustered or anything like that. He went through the whole workout, the event well. But like you said, he had some older guys that helped him through it and, telling him, hey, we've done this before. This is how it's going to be. Overall it went great.
Zach, thoughts?
Yeah. So like for us, not everybody knows we're changing apps and IDs through some of these things. So making sure you don't get warm too fast, where I think that was a big part. You're kind of watching. They were able to watch, because a lot of it was right in front of them, how guys were warming up, how they're going to the next thing. Nobody was really geared up, ready to throw too early in this. And so I think as people come to multiple events, you kind of learn, I would love to say we could do all bullpens at one time and we get done one time, but we can't. Like, our technology, we're changing. Like, Rising Stars is different than the preseason ID. So we're having to go through apps, close apps, and all that takes, a minute, 2 or 3. Well, if you do it 2 or 3 times, you're 10, 15 minutes, where if you got heated up, you might have got heated up too early, too slow. So for them, it kind of watching the older guys give them a chance to kind of understand how the process was going to go and how the pace was going to go.
Let's dive into these IDs. And right out of the chute, all 3 of us have probably gotten phone calls. I know it was a topic of conversation for me on my drive up Sunday, on my drive back Sunday, throughout the event during Sunday. We had a young man show up and show out on Saturday. Quinn O'Rourke, 2026 right-handed pitchers at Charlotte Catholic now. Charlotte Catholic's do they have the best pitching staff in the state? There's an argument to be made with what O'Rourke did, and then also Alex Hoffman, how he kind of got his got off in the fall, and the strides he's made. That's 2 power arms. That's 2 really good power arms. Metro Atlantic Christian's got a couple of arms. They're gonna have a say in that, but O'Rourke showed up. He's put on, again, I haven't gone back and looked at all the numbers. So this just happened. 15.
You could tell it.
Muscle.
You could see it on him. Like, you could see the change.
And he's moving better,
Yeah.
And it was a guy that we saw last year. And it's one of those things when we're scouting or evaluating, these guys change. They're not 24 years old. They're not 26 years old. You're not getting what you got. And credit to Quinn. He came last year, and his numbers were okay. He's a really good pitcher. He's a prospect in terms of landing at a solid Division I program and having that chance. But he took some feedback last year, whether it was from us or from coaches or whoever, and he made some adjustments. And those adjustments have paid off, because he is moving, he is stronger, his arm is faster.
The numbers.
A little bit about just prospects and their development. I'm going to play some video here of Quinn as you're kind of talking about just how guys can change and how they can take that feedback.
Yeah, I mean, you go through, the pro world and the high level colleges, a lot of the first thing is you're projectable. Well, as when we first started doing this, projection got you to a lot of places. Like, we're something to dream on. Well, as the, recruiting world has changed, projection isn't as much as, you're now stuff. And before he was, fairly projectable arm, upper 80s. And now this is production. Like he is produced, he has filled out his body, he has turned some of that projection into production. And so as you continue to mature, the projectability is always good, but if you're always projectable, that means you've never really got to the producing point. And now we're at the producing point for someone like him.
Patrick, what are you seeing on Quinn? I mean, obviously you've seen a little bit of him before, and now we had a little bit of a look here. We haven't dove into a ton of video and a ton of analytics yet, but just watching some of this video that's up, what are you kind of thinking?
I mean, just like you said, I mean, yesterday when I got to watch him, or this weekend when I got to watch him throw, I mean, he was just moving so well. It was just relaxed. It didn't look like he was trying to overdo anything when he was throwing, but just, I mean, I thought it was impressive that this time of the year, this early in the year, he's already putting up numbers like that. Where's he going to be when he hits midseason form, over high school season or summer ball or whatever it is when he comes to another event? I mean, he puts up those kind of numbers now this early in the year. He's made that big of strides, and he's not even at peak form yet. I mean, I think it's something to be excited about for us to be able to go and watch him and see where he gets to this year.
And we're excited because off that event, I mean, obviously he bumps 90. I think it was 92.6. He spins his breaking ball above 2,700, and it wasn't a maxed out. That was a bullpen day for him.
Right.
It was relaxed, and off of that, he earned an invite to our pro case at the end of our preseason. That I think it's February 9th. Yeah, in Kernersville. So we'll get a chance to see him again on February 9th. The pro case, excited to see him there, but. Guys take jumps, guys move forward, and we shuffle how we have the guys assessed, and we move them up and down lists based on that. And, Quinn took advantage of that. Two other names, Patrick, that we'll jump into here, two arms that I liked, Beckett Howie and Brody Smith. I'll start with Beckett, right-hander. Again, it's another young man that's made some adjustments with the body. The arm was clean. It's a little bit more arm strength than his arm speed. But the fastball jumped out of the hand. I'm trying to get my screen to load on him as it's loading. But I think he was up to 88.
Yeah, I mean, he was another one I saw him throw. I mean, same thing we said about Quinn. I mean, he this early in the year, he was out there bullpen day putting up numbers, look relaxed, same thing. I mean, it was impressive. Sometimes early in the year, you get guys out there, they're trying to do too much. They're not in form. You can tell they're trying to figure things out, but both of those guys, man, they looked good. They looked really good.
And then there was Brody Smith. I think Brody's a left-hander, if I'm remembered correctly.
Yes.
And it's a little bit raw. His line's a little bit all over the place. But when you talk about intent and you talk about, having some feel with where his hand speed is, and you're talking about hand speed, there were some things to like there.
The ball jumped
85 or something like that, and spun the breaking ball pretty well. And just for me, I'm watching him and I'm going, I don't know that I'm going to be real comfortable if I get in the box against him.
No.
There wasn't a whole lot where I go, I'm going to really see that ball. And I got a chance to just put a good swing on it. So guys like that jump too. Sometimes it's not just pure stuff. It's that idea of how's he going to affect hitters. And I think he's a tough at bat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was behind the catcher when he was throwing his bullpen, and I was thinking the exact same thing you said, that I would not want to be in that box when he's throwing right now. Not because the ball's all over the place, but because it was uncomfortable. I mean, he knew where he wanted to throw it, and just it jumped out of his hand, and it would have been a very uncomfortable bat being in there.
The offensive session of the day, those guys show up and we're able to take them through some athletic testing. We got some vertical, we got an RSI jump, we got grip strength, height, weight, some visual edge testing. We got a 30 with it being indoors. We got a 10, a 25 split off that 30, and then they start to roll into BP. What I loved about both these facilities is we can open the cages up and let the ball fly a little bit, so the balls aren't just banging in the net as soon as they got off the bat. We can actually see if the ball has a little bit of carry off the bat, what type of spin it's getting. Allow TrackMan to really kind of dial in on what the ball's doing. And we had several guys stand out, and I'm just going to play some video here for you, Patrick, and kind of let you talk
Jackson Haynes from the event, young guy. He showed really well. I remember his arm. He had a lot of arm strength when we were testing that with our outfield throws. Athletic kid. Put some good swings on the ball. I think he made adjustments like everyone else from round 1 to round 2, and he really put some great swings on the ball his second round through BP.
He's athletic there, and you know, it's an interesting body. Again, he's raw. There's some arm length, so trying to figure out how he's going to time some things up. With the way I'm playing these videos, I think for whatever reason the sound's still on. It's not supposed to be, so I don't know that the audio transitions when we do this. So let the video play, and then I'll bounce back to you, Patrick. So then. So we'll just go through these guys. And again, the production team's rushed. We just got back at midnight last night, so the production team's rushed. Let's go Leighton Gruhl. Leighton Gruhl's a right-handed hitter, kind of a no stride, strong lower half, strong hands, like the bat path. Ball jumped off the bat a little bit. What did you see with Leighton?
It was relaxed, man. Like I remember he was one of the ones, like, you know, sometimes you're at events, you're talking to these kids, you can tell they're nervous or just like, I don't know, they're kind of, it's okay to be dialed in, but he was one of the only kids there as I'm standing there, you know, doing TrackMan, getting him ready to hit and everything like that. He's just chatted up with me, just relaxed as can be. Then he gets in the box and he's just, you know, mashing balls off VP first, second round, comes back around. He's just chatting up, very relaxed, you know, knew what he was going to do in the box. It was a fun one to have there.
One of my favorites from the event, and again, just starting to dive into numbers and how they actually perform, but Brady Williamson. I have an affinity for catchers who enjoy catching. And he was an outgoing young man behind the plate. He was willing to talk to the pitchers. He was willing to find out how he could help them. He was a willing blocker in bullpens. And then he gets in the box. It's a physical frame. There's bat speed, and the ball jumped off the bat a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think that can't be overlooked, what you said about someone that he's catcher that wants to catch and enjoys it and is out there looking out for his pitchers. I did see him do that several times when, you know, we're switching over bullpens and he's talking to guys before he gets over to the main mound, and he's like, hey, you know, what do you want? How can I do? How can I help you out here? You know, that says a lot about him, maturity level, and he is physical. So, yeah, he was a good one to watch at the event as well.
And the final guy we'll kind of go through is our event leader in exit velocity, Luke Ponska. Luke's a guy we've seen before. I thought the swing was a lot cleaner. You know, he's made some improvements. He's made some adjustments. There's a little bit more quickness. The strength has always been there. When you start talking about, especially in BP settings, starting to get up above 100-mile-an-hour exit velocities, you're starting to do damage on the baseball. Got to translate it to games, and I think Luke has a chance to do that.
Yeah, no, like you said, physical. First thing that I noticed, I mean, obviously you see it, and it translated into the box. I mean, I think his first swing he took off a guy I'd never seen in BP on TrackMan, I think he was like 96.8, and then the next one was 101, and then he comes back around second round, 100-plus again, you know, upper 90s. And it wasn't just one time. He was consistent with it. The swing was there. He looked great.
I'm going to let this video play for about a minute just so we can see some of these swings we've talked about. I'll do a better job producing this stuff in the future so we can overlay it. I'm still trying to get used to being this podcast master, right? physical dudes there, some bad speed. That was good to see. So we get through Saturday. I'm feeling pretty good because, we're seeing some really good players. We head to Sunday. I'm excited because I'm heading back to Wilmington. I'm thinking, hey, got a chance to actually eat some of the places I ate at when I was in college, when I was coaching there, which is, something I think about. I try not to. I'm trying to be better with my diet, but it pops into mind. And then we show up, and there's players. Zach, we had a future gamer there. We had one of our guys that we took down to Lake Point last year, Preston Smith, College's Charleston commit. And Preston's gotten stronger. Initial impressions on Preston as we kind of roll through the day with him.
Yeah, I mean, the frame is, he looks like a left side of the infield guy. Like, he's broad, his feet move. Like, he took some balls at third, and then he was like, let me get a couple of short. Took some balls at short, and he just moves. Like, he moves well. Everything is flowing for him. He got on the mound too, was up to 87. So, there's some arm strength. He's struck a lot of balls well in the cage. Mainly middle of the field guy, like just letting his strength work. I mean, but he is really well put together, and it's no bad weight.
I think it was an interesting thing you said. We were talking about the ball. The ball seems to jump harder off his bat than what some of the numbers are telling us. And I was thinking about it a little bit and talking to some other friends as we're kind of going through some of the stuff on the way home. And he has an ease about his swing and a snap at the ball. And as he puts on strength, he continues to fill out that frame. I think we're going to see the exit velocity numbers skyrocket. The other thing I loved about him, he worked out at third base. Anytime of these events, you're going to get, we try to get you some ground balls, and then, you get put kind of spotlight on you, and, he mishandled one. Well, he jumped back in line. He wanted extra reps, and can't do that for everybody. We'd never go home. But for him, he jumped back in, and it's short. He moves as well as what you kind of – he's not a prototypical shortstop body, but he moves really well there.
Yeah. No, big, as I said, like, you like big, the big infielders are coming back, and like, he's got a chance, because the bat's always going to play. If you got a chance to be that, shortstop for a couple years before you move over to third, I mean, that's going to be great for him.
One of the things that we talk about with players and families is we like to be around good players, good families at our events. And so when we have events, we're going to invite good players there, but we also tell them, we're a service. You don't need to come to everything that we do. When you're ready to put up better numbers, come put them up. One of the players that we saw last fall, Dylan Stacks, when he registered for this event, I looked at it and said, it hasn't been that long since we've seen him, but he has made improvement. That guy has gotten better in his offseason. He took some of the things and some of the numbers and some of the output from the fall, and we saw drastic improvement. And he was a really good player to begin with. Saw really good improvement both on the bump and in the box.
Yeah, I mean, like, his body's changed enough where it's noticeable. Like, he's leaned out, and he's leaned out in a great way, and it is very flowing. Like, he got on the bump, and it was like, first ball was like 88-4, and it was like, hello. And then his whole, pitch and delivery, everything was simple. Fastball, changeup, didn't throw any breaking balls. I know it's early. But he had phenomenal command of a changeup, which, I mean, in January is pretty much unheard of. And, I mean, it was, 86 to 89. I'm 88.9. I'm going to round up for you, bud. And then I'm like, oh, all right, maybe he's taking a jump as a pitcher. And then this dude got in the box, and, I take some claims I can throw some good BP. Nah, he made me look good. Like, he was absolutely waylaying balls. And, it was upper 90s the whole time. Great angles, just effortless, easy juice in the bat.
He's going to be an interesting follow because I think that it has a chance to translate into games very quickly. So it'll be a good follow for him into the spring. A young man I was seeing, I think for the first time, I have some notes on him. We've seen some stuff. I knew his brother, Camden Kroom, Wilmington product, right there, hometown, local, was familiar with the territory. Having his brother had played at UNCW, showed up. He's a lot more physical than what his brother was, Jacques. And, it showed up on the mound. There was some ease. There was good lines. The ball jumped out of his hand a little bit. He can spin a slider. I mean, slider got a chance to be an out pitch. Initial thoughts on Camden as we're just now starting to jump into the information.
Yeah, like I another guy, I had never seen. And he gets on the bump, and it's like 84, 85. And the breaking ball is like, oh, okay, we got a chance. Well, all of a sudden, the last pitch comes out, and it's like 88, and he's like, here I am. I just want you to remember me. And I was like, bro, I got you. Like, that was really impressive. Your last breaking ball, fastball combo, like 77 breaking ball, 88 fastball. And then, like, I get in the box and, like, he was right-handed, pitcher. Well, there's this left-handed dude in the box. I'm like, I don't know who you are. And then the first ball comes up my head, and then the next ball goes beside me really fast. And then I'm like, oh. And then all of a sudden I got to go look up a name, and I'm like, oh, wow, we got legit two-way potential here. Physical kid, like, no bad weight, and actually really looks young. So, like, I think for him, he's got a chance to become more physical without it hurting any of his performance.
And the final player we're going to talk about from Wilmington, again, we're just now starting to jump into these guys. It just happened. We're filming this on Monday. We're going to release on Tuesday. So we are just starting to get into everything. Not even all the numbers have loaded in yet. But Caden Nolan. Caden's a guy that we saw with C35, now Power Baseball North Carolina. It's a physical frame, broad shoulders, a lot of strength in the legs. But when he starts to move around the infield, he moves with a little bit more nimbleness than what you kind of see out of that power compact type body. And he has some length in the frame as well. I think as a hitter, the power potential is there. I like the swing. I like the barrel ability. The ball has a chance to jump. It's the ability to play the infield that kind of starts to separate him a little bit, because if he can do what he think he has a chance to do with the bat and stick on the infield, now you're talking about a guy that's going to start elevating himself up prospect list. Your thoughts on Caden Nolan?
Yeah, no, I mean, he's great frame. Hitting wise, he has tremendous exit velos already, mid to upper 90s. He gets a little steep at times. Might be the BP pitcher. I might be off a little bit. So, it could be 50-50. But, like, he's strong and, like, it's simple. And then all of a sudden, like, he gets on the mound, and you're talking about he's moving. Well, he moves on the mound. My man's got one of the best cutters in the state. Like, it's his natural fastball. It just cuts. It's 85, and if you have a wood bat, you're not happy. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, like, he's going to shatter baseball bats for a long time. And then, he spins off this pretty good spin and breaking ball right off of it, plays well. Like, he's another two-way guy, especially with the way that the baseball world's trending, where, like, for him being able to throw, he might be a corner infielder, but with that cutter, curveball combo, he might be able to help somebody out a little bit, might help himself out too, just being able to do multiple things.
Well, that's a couple guys now. We've talked about two-way potential, with Camden Kroon, with Caden Nolan, with Preston Smith, Dylan Stacks, Jackson Haynes. One of the things that we talked about when I saw the staff at Wilmington yesterday, I've been talking about with college coaches I've been on the phone, is how are they going to practice? 34 guys on the roster. We're in an age where the strike zone is a freaking thimble. You got to throw it in there, and offensively, guys are spitting on anything that's not over the plate, and they're driving fastballs that are 96 miles an hour. The game has exploded offensively, and now we're limiting rosters. And so a lot of time when I was in the college game, I got an interview and was telling, going through talk, I got a job telling a head coach, we got to carry 14. We need 12 that are really kind of projected to do something in their 4 years, and we need 7 that year. And if you have 7 on your staff in a 56-game season, the way it was laid out, you have a chance to win 30, 35 games. The games you get beat, you may get boat raced, but you have a chance to win those games. Now staffs are talking about 17, 19, 21 pitchers because of the offensive onslaught. And now we're going to take the roster's number from the 35, from now 40, 42, whatever they're at, down to 34. I don't know how they're going to practice, because if you're carrying that many pitchers, trying to get through an inter squad, start doing the math. I got POs. If I got 15 POs, call it 14. Now I'm down to 20 players. If I have a couple guys hurt, if I have a guy in class, because there's a lot of things that happen on a college campus trying to get inter squads in. You're going to have to figure out some ways to kind of work through this. Patrick, if you'd been in today's time and age, would you have gotten a chance for Coach Fox to be in the outfield?
I don't know. I'd like to say I would have, but let's I don't know. Probably not. If I remember Coach Fox correctly, I probably wouldn't have, but who knows? I might have. I mean, maybe if I showed off some speed or some power in batting practice, but the way the rules have changed, who knows? Because this year it's going to be a learning experience for everyone, and then we'll see how it plays out and how they handle everything. They're going to have to figure it out on the fly.
They're going to have more two-way guys just to get through practices, and not necessarily contribute in games, but get through practices. And Coach Fox and you guys at Chapel Hill, about the time you were coming through, he became a little bit more bullpen heavy in the way he relied on things. You had a guy typically on the front end of rotations, but I can remember in midweek games, which was when we saw you guys on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, what was Surhoff's, the left-hander, Surhoff's nephew? Did you play with him?
Brian Moran, the invisible fastball.
Right, and literally invisible. Like he threw pitches in the middle of the zone, and everybody swung through them. And you're trying to figure out how your hitters weren't hitting them, then you'd watch him do it the rest of the year. And we didn't know back then what it was doing. Now we have a better idea what was happening.
Right.
But the high leverage situation in that game may be the third inning. And all of a sudden, here comes their best stopper in the third inning. And all he's trying to do is get me out of that inning, get me one more zero, and then we'll start to backfill with our numbers. From there on out, we're going to match up. We're going to have sliders against right-handers. We're going to have breaking ball against left-hander, and we're going to match up the rest of the game. But you guys had enough arms to do that. You're seeing most of college baseball do that now. And because of the way the offensive numbers work, the offensive game works. I'm wondering how they're going to manage that. I think you're going to have a lot of games just get out of hand. We're going to give up 4 touchdowns. We're going to take our butt kicking and move on, and then we'll live to fight another day with our bullpen intact. But I
think they'll have to. I mean, like you said, you have to play it more strategically. I mean, you're trying to win a certain amount of games, get you to a regional, super regional, Omaha. So, sometimes you might just have to take that beating and make sure your guys are ready and you win the next one. I mean, they're going to have to see how it plays out.
Well, I'm excited about what we have coming up this upcoming weekend. We're in Cary on Saturday scheduled. We're going to talk about the weather here in a minute. Then we're going to be in that Hickory region in Maiden, North Carolina at A-Lab on Sunday. We've been to A-Lab before. Great facility, great guys. You do a great job kind of developing their guys, and we're seeing more and more. They've been around long enough. They're starting to churn those younger teams up into the high school age. We're starting to see more of those places. We're excited to see those guys, put some numbers on them, get up into the western part of North Carolina and kind of identify some talent there. Let's start, Zach, with the Triangle area. I know you'll actually be in South Carolina helping, but just give us a little preview of heading to Cary and heading to the National Training Center and kind of what we're going to be dealing with there.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually brand new. I've been around it a lot. I've heard a lot of wonderful things about it. I heard it's a little chilly, but other than that, I hear you can't match what you're about to go into. So for experience for a kid, it's going to be great. It's a big, huge facility. You'll be able to do anything you want in there. Looking at the roster, there's a lot of young, youthful kids. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping I'm there. I'm trying to trade off with Sammy to come on Sunday, and then so that way I can see us in Wake County. I like to be in Wake County. It's where I used to coach, and I like being still a face in around Wake County. So I'm hoping to be around. I've always said Wake County's got the best baseball, so I'm hoping we got a chance to back it up around here.
And Patrick, we head to the mountains, and we head to that Maiden area on Sunday. We were there last year. Meridian LaFew was at the event last year. We had some guys from TC Roberson there last year that stood out, as I can remember, some guys from Watauga that stood out. So what are you excited about as we kind of get into this Mountain ID and what we're going to see on Sunday?
Well, like you said, there was lots of talent there last year, so I'm excited to see the new talent that comes in this year, see if it can match what we had last year. Facilities are great. The people there are great. It's always ran well. They help us with anything we need there. But yeah, just excited to see the new guys roll in this year, the ones that I'm going to be venturing out in high school season to get to see play, get to know them, and see how they grow throughout the year, and just see where they're going to get to this season.
Two great facilities going to allow us to do everything we need to do and see good players and good environments. So I'm excited about that. The one thing we will deal with a little bit on Saturday, we mentioned it, that Arctic blast is coming through. And the way that USA Baseball built that facility, it's like a 3-story building, but the top story they didn't enclose for whatever reason. So inside that building, not a ton of sunlight gets in there. No wind, but the cold air is cold air. So we'll be kind of finagling the schedule throughout the week, trying to make sure we kind of put players in positive situations with that event, and taking care of you. There's a hallway that's heated. There's some things we can do to kind of get you in and out of the building, so you're not just standing in colder temperatures for an hour or so. We're going to move you around, but it brings us to players trying to get ready for their spring season. And Zach, you were a high school coach. Not a ton of high school programs in North Carolina have a dedicated indoor facility they can just go. Hey, it's cold, we're going indoors. I was never in a college program that had that. So what are some of the things high school coaches are going to be dealing with here in the next couple of weeks, trying to get their players ready, trying to build pitch counts? Because, that March 1, right around that area, that it's closing in fast on us.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say we were blessed. My dad owned a facility, so like we were ahead of the game. We tended to go outside unless it was under, I would say 40. We had, I was weird. Like everybody knows this. Like our pitchers had to wear sleeves if it was under 45. We had to wear sleeves and pants if it was under 40. Like we kind of took ways of that. We tried not to double up on throws. So like if we're doing infield drills and bullpens of the day, our pitchers would just throw bullpens. We still did lives like we had to. Like for me, like it's if we can learn how to train in it a little bit, so we might do a little less max reps and we might work a little bit more on game swings or stuff like that. Like we got to get used to the cold. Like I don't want my first game to be a conference game and it's 35 degrees and we've never hit in cold. We've never played in cold. So for the most part, we tried to like just practice that way. And like, we just had the weird rules about making sure you're in sleeves, make sure you're in pants. Coach, I'm not cold. Like too bad. Like you're going to wear sleeves or you're not practicing. Like stuff like that.
You were, I was a little harder. Mine was, I think 68. They had to be in sleeves. So 40, 50 degrees, I'm putting thermals on for me. So here's what I want to do. We're going to talk a little bit, obviously all three of us, coaching background, development background, playing background, some better than others, but we've all been around the game for a long time. We've got cold air coming. We're going to play a little game. I'm going to set up a wheel here, and on that wheel will be the three of our names. And as the wheel lands on you, you're going to have to tell your best cold weather baseball story. Playing, developing, coaching, whatever. And then if we can get through two of these, then we will see. And Sean, we can look. Maybe we put up a poll on this as you're kind of breaking all this stuff down, and see who wins. We'll come back next week and we can declare a winner of best cold weather story. You guys ready to spin?
Go ahead.
Here we go.
Ha.
Right out of the chute.
Seems
All
rigged.
right.
Seems rigged.
Yeah.
Game's rigged. Yeah. All right. So I've got two. One from Wilmington when I was a freshman, but I'm going to stay with the one from when I was at Wilmington. I was coaching. I'd been a coach for, I think this is my fourth year. We're coming off a year where we had finished the top 10 in pitching. The year we're talking about, we actually finished in the top 3 in pitching in the country. And Delaware was in our conference, their first time in the conference. We go up there. It is gorgeous on Friday, which is not what they wanted. They wanted the Southern kids to come up north and have to deal with all the elements and be soft and all that stuff. And we were pretty good. And they were coming into a conference. They hadn't played at the Colonial at that time. Now the Coastal Athletic Association was really good. And we just beat the dog out of them on Friday. I think it was 25 to something, whatever. Didn't give up any runs, whatever. Saturday, show up, starting to get a little chillier. As weather comes in throughout the game, we score 3 or 4 touchdowns in the first quarter, game's over. We blow them out again. We get to Sunday, and we had talked to them about, hey, can we play a doubleheader on Saturday with the Sunday weather? We know what's coming. We know it's coming in. Can we do this? And they were like, no, we're playing Sunday. So we show up on Sunday, and it's like 26 degrees. We don't have access there indoor for hitting. We basically just rolled out of the hotel, got there in time to hit in the cage a little bit and just go. We weren't going to be outside. We were running shifts to the bathroom because the bathroom had a red light heater in it. And so we were telling our guys, you can go in there, but you had to leave kind of the stadium area to get there. And then the next shift would go and bring those guys back. So they were missing part of the game. But it was like, I think the high on the day was like 34, and it was like a 25 or 30 mile an hour wind. And so we're going through it, and we're just freezing. Our starter that day was a freshman, and we're pretty regimented on what we do in terms of how we're going to get those guys ready. He basically turned to me at one point and goes, I'm loose, I'm ready, and I'm starting to sweat. I got to get out of this. And so we shut the bullpen down and went in. We score 14 in the first. Our guy runs out there, and bang, 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 we're out of the inning. And then over the course of the next 3 or 4 innings, it's evident it's going to be a 7-inning game. We get into about the 5th, we're starting to run our seniors out there. I'm done. I'm done calling pitches. I've moved on. We're just going to get some guys some work. We're going to get through the day and move on. And about the 5th, the umpire, for whatever reason, he got tight on a couple pitches. So I start barking at him. Let's go, lock in, let's go. We're going through it. He's snapping his mask. He's looking over the dugout. And as he does that more and more, I'm getting more and more upset, use a different word. And so I'm doing it more and more, and I'm all over him. It's like a 17-21 run game, and every pitch I'm in this guy's tail. And so at the end of the inning, he steps out. He walks down the first baseline where we're at. He looks in the dugout, and he says, "Hey, Brandon, bring your lineup and come here." I don't have a lineup. I'm a pitching coach. So I just grab a chart and walk out there. He pulls his lineup out. He's looking at it. He goes, "Here's the deal, dude. It's 17 degrees, and if I have to be out here, so does everybody else. Ain't nobody getting run from this game." And he walked back. And so I remember that. It's one of those things with us, and you guys probably – we see the same umpires all the time. So a lot of times we think of this adversarial relationship we have and, umpires versus the world. We get to know those guys. And so we've known him forever. And, I'm still going to challenge him at times, but he kind of called me out on it because there came a point in my mind where I was like, it's too cold and somebody can get ejected. Our rule on staff was one could go. And if I was the first one, I'd go sit in the bus while everybody else had to deal with that weather. So we got time for another wheel one, you guys think?
Yeah, why not?
One more. All right, let's see. Let's go remove me. Is it presenting? It is not. Present.
50-50, Patrick.
Here we go.
Neither of us go.
All right, Patrick, you got to beat me.
I mean, I don't know if I'm going to beat you, but I got to.
Did it show on there? Did you guys see the wheel?
No, we don't even know who won. I just think you picked Patrick.
It's all right. I mean, I got one if you want.
We'll do it again. No, we'll do it again. It's got close. It's got to be official. It's got to be on screen for it to count.
Ha, Zach, you're 100% going now. No way I get it twice.
You got it twice.
Right there. There you go.
So my worst one, freshman year at Chapel Hill, we're in Maryland. I was a midweek starter freshman year, so I started on Wednesday. Friday night, it was early in the year too, and we were on the road up there. I knew I wasn't pitching. I should have been more prepared. I was running late to get on the bus. It is sleeting outside. It's freezing cold. I forget my jacket. Like I said, I knew I wasn't pitching, but for some reason, Alex White's out there dealing. Forbes in the 3rd inning. Hey, you guys go down to the bullpen. Sends me to the bullpen. I don't have a jacket. I know I'm not throwing. I'm not moving around. I'm just sitting there for 9 innings. Alex throws a complete game. We beat him by like 8 runs or something, and I can't feel my body the entire time. But that's more of my fault. I left my jacket at the hotel. They gave us these nice little Nike gloves that were very warm to go with our jacket. Left those too. So this is more of a me issue. I wasn't prepared. I didn't handle my time management very well. Could be one or I don't know. I wasn't prepared. I paid for it. Whether it was summer, winter, whatever, if the jacket was in the package when we left, it was in my pitching bag for the rest of the year, whether it was summertime or winter. I wasn't, I was taking my shoes off after the game and I had sleet in them. So, I didn't make that mistake again.
That's pretty. You think Forbes saw guys like that and just moved you down there?
No, I think that we had 2 heaters in the dugout, and Forbes saw I forgot my jacket, and he said, "I'm going to send this freshman down there with no heater because next time he won't forget his jacket or gloves." So I think that, and I think he was right. I never forgot it again. Like I said, it was in Omaha, and I was taking a jacket with me everywhere. 120 degrees out there, so I never forgot it again. But yeah, that was it was a life lesson learned. And I still don't go places without a jacket. So, I learned my lesson.
Well, gentlemen, good podcast as always. We're 2 for 2. This one will come out this week. Next week, we'll be able to talk about the upcoming preseason all states, the preseason IDs that just happened. For Zach Borowski, for Patrick Johnson, I'm Brandon Hall. This is the Prep Baseball of North Carolina podcast. Thanks, guys.